Welcome to Make It Your Business, the podcast. Get the advice you need to grow your business by getting guidance from industry experts and interviews with successful small business owners. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.
So, Chris, welcome to the first podcast. Thank you. Whose great idea was this? So look, we sat down, we wanted to do a podcast. I think we've both seen as small business owners that there's gaps.
Me and you listen to podcasts all the time, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah. And it frustrates me personally when there's a lot of really good podcasters, let's face it. But in my mind, they tend to focus on getting the celebrity business people in, the 100 million exits,
Yep.
The guy that invented, Facebook and Twitter and the tech side. And I mean, I've been in small business now for, 24 years. I've had different businesses and they're super inspirational. So I really enjoy watching those type of things, the videos and listening to the podcast. But actually what I wish there was more sort of boots on the ground.
Yep.
That's what I'm hoping for from this. What's your take?
Yeah, I think it'd be useful. Definitely things that people can relate to. So obviously, a lot of the stuff that we're going to be talking about is with the smaller businesses.
Mm.
Yeah, as you say, not the sort of multi-million pound, companies that sort of, do all that sort of things. But I definitely sort of, that sort of small to medium sized enterprise. Size business.
No, I'm interested in having a chat because, as you know, I've grown, created and acquired small businesses for years. And what's really interesting is you touch in the marketing agency. You deal with lots of different industries as well, don't you?
Yep.
And you've probably got more experience in certainly the direct-to-consumer side.
Yep.
So I'm super excited to hear your things.
Mm-hmm.
Look, where we are now, it's September 22. Energy prices in the UK are going through the roof. I certainly feel there's an energy change. A lot of the experts are talking about impending recession coming. That feels like a good place to start for me because I certainly know internally, even with, as large as our businesses are now as a group, it's a worry.
Yep. No. Obviously with consumers, it's all been in the news, isn't it? Everybody knows, energy prices are rocketing, and there's not too much you can do about it. Obviously the government, you've got the price caps in place, but these are for consumers only. So businesses don't have this price cap, limit for the energy prices. And, I know of businesses that have, gone out of business just purely because of the price of electricity. And it's a lot of businesses use energy to run their business. If you've got premises, you need to heat it with gas. Or
I'm just reading about a restaurant owner. She was saying that, based on the estimates now, her electricity is going to be higher than her rent. And that's just no longer a viable business. So, it's really interesting. Should we talk Look, I've got some bits that I've certainly done in my business.
Mm-hmm.
We've spoken briefly, I actually took a view on this a few months ago.
Yeah.
Call me a pessimist, but, I like to prepare.
Yeah.
No, and I think it's really interesting looking at what people can do.
Okay.
So maybe I would just talk about the things that we looked at.
Mm-hmm.
So we did a bit of a review of our businesses, and we started going through the costs. One of the things that I like to do is basically print off my direct debit list from the bank.
Yep.
And go through and basically imagine we didn't have that service, because during the good times we've all, subscriptions and extra bills, etc., and there's a lot there you can cut down.
Yeah.
And then I'll use it as a focal point. So recently we changed our fuel card. So we have a business with 25 vans, and it really adds up. The fuel price has been going through the roof. It's certainly here in the UK. So we're looking at it as a focus.
Yeah.
And to me, what's interesting sometimes is the micros that add up.
Okay.
So we analysed this particular fuel card, and there was annual charges or monthly charges per card. So a little bit of research, then we found a fuel card with no charges and a discount on pump price.
Okay.
And if I'm honest, before we looked, I wasn't even aware this was a thing.
Yeah.
I just thought you pay your fuel price.
Yeah.
we had a fuel card more like a centralised point. But yeah, we reckon that's going to probably save about £7,000-8,000 a month just by shopping around.
Yeah. Is that from going to selected petrol stations?
No, again, there are a lot of providers. I mean, I'm no fuel card expert, but we literally just spend several hours going through the fuel card providers, again, limiting it. What's interesting as well, we haven't done this, but I spoke to another business owner that changed to a supermarket fuel-only fuel card. Now, my personal view on that is I didn't want to hinder the guys and the ladies in the vans because we're a service company. But their view was like, well, if I can limit them going to the more expensive independents or more expensive motorway services, not going to get hammered up on fuel cards here. But no, but it's the micro, is it?
Good example.
Well, the other thing we did was we changed all the lights in one of the warehouses. I think these LED lights were £60. But we basically did a quick bit of maths, and we'll have that money back in 3 months. And again, I know where everyone is today and the energy prices going up. But there's another one coming in January 23. They're talking about April. Again, I've no idea where this data comes from, but they're talking about potentially 3 rises now, and in the next sort of 12, 18 months. So it's not going away.
I guess speaking of lighting as well, another thing you could do is put PLR sensors in rooms. So obviously, another lights don't get left at the time. As soon as someone walks in, lights down, walk out.
Look, we're not, or I'm personally not orientating this podcast towards like penny saving. But I think the magic where it really adds up. Our electric bill in one of the offices, we now get the computers were left on standby. And again, it's going to make you sound really slick, but it was like £15,000 a year saving if we just asked everyone to turn the computers off at the end of the day.
I guess if you cut your costs, that directly affects the profits.
And what my view always is if there is going to be a short term, let's hope it's a very sharp recession. I think they call it a V, in and out over a short period of time. But if you can potentially make more profit on paper, then you've got a bigger padding. If things shrink, jobs can be retained, earnings. It's super interesting. I'm trying to think what we've been looking at as far as cost savings at the moment. But it's an interesting, this more at personal level. But so my brother-in-law was around the other day, and we were talking he was worried about his electric, and again, I'm not going to get into mathematics, but it was really interesting to talk to him because he was like, I just don't know what I'm going to do. And I think it went along the lines of, my heating comes on at 7, the hub of 6 goes off at 8, then comes on at 4, and I was like, well, if you did it at 6:45 and then went off at 7:45, and then you did the same at the top end, technically you'd be saving, your heating would be on 15% less. I don't think you'd miss it. I mean, I'm not, but go and sit in your house and pretty certainly that. But yeah, super interesting. Like, contextually talking this through, there's lots of bits that I think are maybe obvious. But maybe make sure we touch on them because people are just busy, aren't they?
I know certainly, like personally myself, I'm going to be a lot more conscious this winter about turning the heating up and just having it a little bit. I'll definitely think twice about sort of doing that petty jump on instead. Or
I mean, we're talking about electric because that's the big one in the news at the moment. But let's face it, my biggest fear is the overall inflation. There's no doubt wages are going to increase. Because obviously costs go up and wages have to follow suit.
Pricing.
Absolutely. And with that, all costs are going to rise. So maybe you can talk a little bit about what we're doing in our businesses to compensate that.
Okay.
Because, cost cutting is definitely one, but the other side of that seesaw is price increases, productivity increases, diversification. Because if I was sitting at home watching this, I'd be like, but what do I do? I'm running this business, blah blah blah. I mean, what are you doing at the moment in your businesses to?
So we're a predominantly digital business. So as such, we don't sort of use too many physical resources. We're trying to sort of get towards being carbon zero. So we're trying to sort of use as little energy as possible.
I would argue that as much as you're digital, it would still resonate in respect of like productivity. You're always telling me about, oh, I found this piece of software and it's £20 a month and it's going to increase our output by X. And then we'll, if we put this in place, it means we haven't got to hire an additional body.
Yep. Yeah, no, there's that side of it. Like, don't get wrong, I'm a massive fan of automation, as you know. And we'll probably get into, back later on further episodes and talk about different pieces of software that we use and things internally. But yeah, definitely, like, for less, it takes a physical person to do a job, less time. Obviously, you can spend that time elsewhere or, do other things. So, I just enjoy, that side of it.
Look, the unfortunate is that nobody likes price increases, but it's inevitable.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I've told you this story, so we're probably going back about 3 or 4 weeks now, but we bought a chicken. Bear with me here. So we bought a chicken. It was, I don't know, £5. And then we had our food shopping delivered. And we'd ordered another chicken in the next delivery, but we'd gone out for food. So I ended up with these 2 chickens in the fridge. The same chicken, same brand, same supplier, same weight, and one was like £5 and one was like £7.50. Cool. And as much as everything goes, it was those little bits. I was like, wow. I'm not. Yeah, they can't produce that for any less. Costs have risen. But I do find a lot of small businesses have an internal emotional connection to their client where they think they're doing them a favour by holding the prices down. When in fact, any business should be, the cost of the services and then your margin.
Yep.
Have you got any advice about how to get these small business people, get their mindset, understanding?
It is very difficult. And like when you're set in your ways and pricing, that's the way things are. You don't really look to increase those because, you've got your current customers that are currently paying one price.
Brilliant.
And then you naturally, get the fear of, if you put your prices up, are you going to lose new business?
Mm-hmm.
And, there's all, you can't really mess around with the prices too much. But yeah, like, for example, we've held our prices, for the last couple of years. And it's like, it's got to a point now where costs have gone up, and, cost of staff's gone up, everything's gone up. And like, we literally cannot, keep prices the same. So, internally, we've had to, increase the prices of our packages. And at first I was hesitant. I was like, does this mean we're going to have a fall in, number of new customers joining? And, quite the opposite almost. Like, we've been doing quite well. The last few months have been quite good.
It's interesting because that's the psychology of a small business business. A lot of the tension and arguments that is in their own head, isn't it?
And
my view with price increases is always, well, first and foremost, communication.
Yep.
I can't stand it where it's, my personal bills or my business, where they sneak it in.
Mm-hmm.
Or they just, I think you've got to forewarn.
Nope.
I also think reiteration of what you're getting for the service.
Yep.
So we've had some price increases in the last couple of months in anticipation. And we've sat down as a team and gone, right, okay, what else could we do for our client?
Yep.
We have to increase this price 5% to compensate. So what else could we do for them?
Yep.
What other service could we add into this? Could we add them extra value? Could we... I tell you what, here's a big one. I do this a lot, I swear. So one business we acquired, we didn't have to put the price up because we moved services. So a good example of that is they were posting all their invoices.
Okay.
And we put in a digital system to email them.
Yeah.
And it saved, £400 or £500 a month in postage stamps. I've got nothing against Royal Mail. I'm not trying to take business away from them. But ultimately, that's a good example, I think, of like cutting costs on that side.
Yeah.
But I think on one of the digital businesses, we obviously had to increase on the hosting.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't a lot. I think it was a couple of pounds a month based on, servers and cloud. They run on electricity. So, there's nothing we can do with that. But to alleviate that, we added in extra virus protection and backup services.
I'd also speak about the things that you've done since, you've been, retaining the price as it is. So if you say to them, like, since the last price increase, we've been able to, add this feature, add that feature, and all these new features are coming, in the next couple of months, then, it's not just a price increase. It's like, you're getting more for your money, and, consumers don't mind paying that. Whether it's a consumer business, if you're getting more for it.
What's interesting with cost cutting, I think you should be careful not to go too far. Did I tell you the story about the client who, okay, so marketing. Okay, everyone knows I'm a big fan of marketing. But we had a client call up and they basically wanted to cut their marketing bill. They said cash flow's tight. Now, again, this is super interesting. I'm no psychologist. Maybe we can get psychologists on here so we can understand this a bit more. But they wanted to cut their marketing spend. This was I'm not going to say exclusive, but majority of their sales leads were coming from marketing. But they saw it as, how can we cut it? Yeah. So I do think you've got to have some thought towards it. As much as there's been very good times. Last 10 years, I believe there have been a lot of accidental business people do very well. They've started it, that a service, a product, there's been an appetite. They've not had to do it. I've been through, this will be, if there is a recession, this will be the third one now.
Yeah.
And it's not terrible. It's not all doom and gloom. My memory's not the best when it comes to these things because I'm quite optimistic, so I just move on. But from memory, we had to work a little bit harder for our money. You're not going to rain profits.
No.
But with the correct approach, you can still have maintain the lifestyle with slightly less meals and takeaways and holidays. And
I think it's all about preparing, is that? And there's we've got to a point now where we're pretty much, we're very confident that it's going to happen. So it's just what you do within your business to try and alleviate, a lot of problems that you can have later down the line. But
from small businesses, let's have a look at what we're looking at. So what we had, as I said, we had the fuel cards, we had the electricity. As far as hours, it's not something we'd be yet done, but we certainly investigated productivity. For us, it was a Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, if we potentially reduced hours, what would that look like? So we've done, I call them studies in my head, but they're just Excel spreadsheets, If we closed 2 hours earlier, could we ask the staff if they wanted to work less? Or even if we didn't and we just reduced it, would it save on electricity and fuel, et cetera, because every business, I think, not all days and hours are equal as far as productivity.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I was going to say, ask the staff if they want to work less.
Well, what's interesting, I do believe since the COVID lockdown, I believe work-life balance is a lot more important to people now. But as much as we're talking about money, recession, cutbacks, I do think there are some people that would go, I'd happily work 38 to get a Friday afternoon to pick up my children.
No.
So we're not necessarily looking at, and again, we haven't put this into our business, but we're always looking at what would benefit them, what would benefit us. Because that's what it's about, that stability. That
I suppose some of it goes back to the automation thing as well. If you can automate something and then, something that's going to take, like 2 hours less time for someone to do.
Yes.
Over if that's a daily basis, and over a month.
It compounds.
Yeah.
So, and again, you're looking at business costs, but sometimes it's not cutting, sometimes it's just holding it still. No, that was interesting, dude. I look forward to some more episodes. That's good. First episode of Make It Your Business.
Cool. I think you invited me.
Let's get into it. Cool. All right. Bye for now.